So today is a so-called holiday. Just think about this. Smoke on it. A few black people in Texas found out years later or sometime later that slavery had ended. And so because they found out, the other blacks started complaining, and now they have a national holiday. Go figure. A few blacks didn't know slavery had ended. How did that become a national holiday? And you don't believe that reparation is coming next? Mommy Africa is happening in America. White folks, your land will be taken. It will happen because there's nothing right now pushing back to stop it. And a lot of people go, oh, no, South Africa can't happen in America. It's already happening now. You put all the wrong people in office. And so they're celebrating it in the way that blacks celebrate it. And by the way, white people, I want to encourage you, you got to stay away from anger. Otherwise, this stuff that's happening to you will cause you to overreact, and you'll find yourself doing all the wrong things, trying to fight back, but in the wrong way. Always stay away from anger. So let me give you an example of how the blacks are celebrating Juneteenth. They're really having a party. This is from the Daily Wire. A 15-year-old boy was killed, and 3 people, including a cop, were wounded after shots rang out at a social justice-inspired music festival in Washington, D.C. Watch this.
We have some breaking news. Gunfire erupting at a crowded Juneteenth celebration in downtown Washington, D.C. tonight. One person was killed. Several others were injured, including a police officer who was shot. Investigators say 2 separate fights between partygoers sparked the initial gunfire. That triggered a massive stampede as hundreds scattered in all directions. A 15-year-old boy was killed. A D.C. police officer was shot in the leg. At least 2 others were rushed to the hospital. The shooters are still on the loose tonight.
Amazing, right? Black excellence on Juneteenth, celebrating. Are you happy that Juneteenth is a holiday? Look what you're paying for. You can't even go to those things because you might end up getting killed. This is all about the socialist movement. Excuse me. It's about the socialist movement. And wait a minute, I'm not done yet. A video shared on Twitter showed rivals twerking on top of a car as shots rang out, forcing people to flee for cover. Watch this. All blamed on slavery and white supremacy and all the wrong things. Black people, you've been brainwashed and don't realize it. You've been used and don't recognize it. You got to come back to yourself. You got to start looking at you. Become an individual. You don't have to go along with this stuff. It's time for this to end. It's time to bring back individuality and love. Love God with all your heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else. And your neighbor as yourself, and then you can't go wrong. What a mess, huh? Black excellence at work. I saw this documentary over the weekend about socialism and the effect that it had on black people and our country at large. And the guy Karl Marx and others, the one thing that they knew and wanted to do and are succeeding at it. And they're literally succeeding at it in order to bring in socialism, because I'm learning about socialism more and more and more every day. But one of the things that they did to bring in socialism was to get rid of Christianity. They had to get rid of Christianity in order to establish socialism around the world. Anywhere where they did it, And they showed over, in Europe and other places where they, Karl Marx and those guys brought in socialism, but they had to get rid of Christianity. That was the depths of it was amazing to me to see that and to see and hear the commentators talk about how they did it and why they did it. And the reason they did it was because you can't, people who are truly of God, believe in Him, and have the love of God cannot be controlled. They can't be controlled. So they had to infiltrate Christianity in Europe and in America in order to bring it in. Because I was wondering the depths of black folks who are just gone now. Not all, but they're just gone. And they talked about how the civil rights movement was taken over by communist, socialist people, and how they used the preachers and others to bring it in. Because prior to that, black people were doing very, very well in life. All these lies about slavery and Jim Crow and all that, it just wasn't true. And it isn't true today. But they brought in socialism by getting the preachers to talk about it and the black preachers to talk about it and start a movement pretending that racism and slavery and Jim Crow were the problem, and it wasn't. And so by doing that, they were able to get rid of Christianity. And now in our country, they have really gotten rid of Christianity. You can hardly, one or two people you run into, right? But you can hardly identify Christianity anymore. Real Christianity looked like the enemy, watered down Bible thumper Christianity, and socialism looked like the friend. It's amazing to see that. Real Christianity is not identified as Christianity for the most part in the country. And that is part of the socialist plan, well, their primary plan, because they were thinking, and they said, that you can't control the people as long as they believe in God. You can only control them by turning them away from God, making them angry, because when you're angry, you're hypnotized. And when you're hypnotized, you don't know what you're doing. You believe thoughts. You believe lies. Isn't that like amazing when you think? It's just so amazing. And everybody and their mama are angry today. I've never seen, since I've been on earth at least, I've never seen so much anger in America. And not just from the secular people, but from the Christian people. They're as angry as the non-Christian people. I just never seen it before. And as a result of that, the country is weak. I knew that when the civil rights movement happened, that's when the real downfall of the blacks started to happen. But it was happening prior to that, slowly but surely, in other little ways by W.G. Du Bois and others. But I knew that the blacks had not recovered since the civil rights movement. They have not recovered. They think in groups, they act alike, they say the same thing, they have no love, zero love, because Christianity has been taken away. Of course, the fathers are not there because of that. The mothers are angry, and it's a mess. And now this group thinking within the black community, but not only, is like all about color, all about reparations, all about affirmative action, all about stuff that will do nothing for you as an individual. Communism is something else. And Karl Marx and all those guys, because they were more than just Karl, but there were people who learned from him, taught by way of him, or read his books and all that kind of stuff. They also helped to bring it in. But get rid of Christianity, make a person angry, then the devil become their voice. And they think their thoughts are their own, and they're really, really not. And the thoughts can make them do things that they never, ever imagined. Take away love and bring in anger, that's it. Why do you think mothers are able to control sons and daughters? Because of the anger. Because of, if the anger wasn't there, no one can control you. But our country is seriously becoming socialist, communist. Is becoming a socialist, communist country. They've taken away Christianity. You know that Christianity is important because if it wasn't important, why would they take it away? Why didn't they do the brainwashing of America by the without having to remove Christianity? Take Christ out of your life, and anyone that has anger has no Christ, at least don't have the true God. And it's unfortunate for the human being because that human being that has anger is suffering inwardly with thoughts and feelings and overreaction and fear and doubt and worry. But you can overcome it, just forgive. You don't have to stay that way. It's up to you, but you literally don't have to stay that way. But you got to become an individual first. You go with the crowd, you never will get it. But it's interesting to understand the depths of socialism, how it came about and why. They wanted to control the masses. They wanted to control the people.